Good evening and welcome back to Canon Chatter TV for tonight's show. Last Orders, where we'll basically be reviewing, obviously, the 2-1 win against Brentford at the weekend. We got our revenge over the team that we played at the beginning of the season. We'll also be in the second half of the show previewing what is a crucial game against Wolves this Thursday night. And also, obviously, keeping tabs on the chat room and chatting all things Arsenal. But before we obviously kick off tonight's show, as you can see, the full squad is in the house. So I'll come to you first, Lottie. How you doing, Lottie?
Yeah, I'm all right. It's just nice to be back with the family, back on the screen. It's been so long since we've been on together. It's either been me and you or me on my own.
Yeah.
It's just nice to be back with you guys. How are you?
Definitely. I'm good, I'm good. I'm a little bit tired. The last 2 days at work have been really, really busy. But yeah, other than that, I'm all right. You know what I mean? I'm obviously still buzzing from the weekend's result. Looking forward to Thursday. But yeah, all good this end. I can see we're all in red, which wasn't planned. We're all in red. We're all rocking the Canon Chatter colours, which is good. So I know Stephen will be pleased because he's all about the brand. Stephen, how you doing?
I'm all right, man. I'm all right. Just trying to do half a dozen things here at the same time. Yeah, good. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Like I said, really, really good this end. I just kind of obviously looking forward to the show. I think the mood amongst the Arsenal fans is pretty good. Don't get me wrong. I think it is definitely on the knife's edge. I think one bad result and we could find ourselves swinging in the other direction. But at the moment, I think it's all very positive. So with that said, we'll run the intro video and we'll get right into it. So see you on the other side, guys.
Arsenal have gone through an entire league campaign without losing. The first time it's happened.
So yes, good evening once again and welcome back to Canon Chatter TV for tonight's show, Last Orders. And as I previously said, what we'll be doing tonight is we'll be reviewing the 2-1 win against Brentford and we'll be previewing what is a very crucial game. It seems like every game is between now and the end of the season. Thursday night, we're playing at home to Wolves. But yeah, before we get onto that, we'll head over to the chat room and say evening to everybody's here. So, Mrs. Silver Fox is already getting the drinks in. I'll have a brandy and coke. What are you having, Slotty?
Oh, I have a pink gin and lemonade, please.
Stephen, tell Silver Fox what you're having.
I am on the you can't actually see it there. I am on the Jameson's and Coke.
Brilliant. So there you go, Tony. You got the rounds to get it in. Riddy Sakar, good evening. Riddy says here, evening kind of chatter. Riddy again says evening to Mr. Fox. We've got Stu here. Good evening all. How are we doing? Hope everyone is managing to keep safe and well. All good this end. Mr. Silver Fox again, good evening to everybody. Keith, good evening, Keith. He said, hi guys, come on you Gunners. Riddy saying hello to Stu. We've got Lee in the building. Good evening, Lee. Good evening all. Going to be in and out today. Good to see you all. No problem. Glad you could kind of pop in and pop out. Not a problem at all. Stu saying hello to Riddy. And Josh Jones saying good evening. Not sure if that's a new name. It might be a name I've seen before. Not too sure. But if it's your first time, welcome to the show. Hopefully you enjoy it. Please do hit the subscribe button. If it's not and you've been watching before, then good to have you back. So, obviously, where we're going to start is obviously with the game, at the weekend. Now, I think this was kind of like a hotly anticipated match, I think, for multiple reasons. Do you know what I mean? Like, we played Brentford at the beginning of the season, and I don't think many of us want to kind of go back or think what that was like at the beginning of the season, given, the 3 straight defeats, COVID-riddled squad, limited players available. And to be honest, we got an absolute thumping from a newly promoted side. It wasn't pretty. And it kind of started, the kind of section of games where we just weren't at the races for whatever reasons. But that seems like a million miles ago, million years ago. We've somewhat made some real kind of strides in the league since then. But it was an opportunity for the lads to obviously put on a show, get a convincing win, and kind of set the record straight. Now the lineup came out about an hour or so before the game, and I'll come to you first, Stephen, on this, because obviously you put out what was your lineup or predicted lineup on Friday night show ahead of the game. So given how similar the two lineups were, albeit Arteta went with Cedric over Tomiyasu, what were your thoughts with regards to the team that Arteta put out to play Brentford?
Okay, yeah, sorry, I just want to say firstly, apologies to anybody watching and sort of notice that I'm distracted here. For those who don't know, I'm still technically working in my old job, although it's only very much on a very part-time basis, but sometimes I have to do things sort of that I don't normally expect to have to do, and it just something's come up that I'm trying to deal with at the same time here. So I apologize for being a little distracted.
No problem.
In terms of the lineup, do you know what? What's that?
I just said multitasking. I love it.
That's it. Joe, in terms of the lineup, we talked about this on, was it Friday night we were on, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah, Friday night. And it's pretty much, apart from, as you say, Cedric coming in for Tomiyasu, it's exactly what I sort of said I thought that Arteta would go with. And as you rightly said, if Cedric was in instead of Tomiyasu, you wouldn't have an issue with it. I wasn't going to have an issue with it. If Pepe was in instead of ESR, we wouldn't have had an issue with it. So, I mean, I was happy enough. I think, Cedric had a good game against Wolves. And we talked about this the other night that, Cedric can be very hit and miss. But I've kind of always said that, for me, Cedric's one of the best crossers of the ball that we have, which is why, when he's on the pitch, he's always on free kick duty. Unless it's obviously in and around the edge of the box and they're going for a shot. If it's a cross free kick, he's always the one taking them. He's the best crosser of the ball we have. And I think on his day, he can be a very good right back. So I was happy enough for the lineup. Happy to see ESR back in. As I say, would have been happy if Pepe had started. I think, I'm sure we'll come on to it. I think Pepe was good when he came on. So I think because we have a limited squad, it's sort of an awful lot more settled now. And as you pointed out the other night, we're not seeing the same chopping and changing that we would have last season. I think Arteta is settled on the sort of first 11 and will change one or two here and there when he has to. But for the most part, it's the same thing, the same team all the time, which is good. He was changing the team last season. I think he was trying to be too smart. And he was trying to pick players based on what team we were playing against, rather than just picking a formation, picking a team and sticking with it, which is what he's done this season. And I think it's we've reaped the benefits of that. So yeah, I'm happy enough with the team. I was pleased to see it.
Cool. And obviously I'll come to you now, Lottie, with regards to this team. What were your thoughts on the lineup? Was there anything that you would have done differently, or were you pretty much happy with the starting 11?
I'm actually going to say I'm happy with it. It didn't surprise me. I would have expected Cedric to come off to get Tomiyasu some minutes, then him probably back for Wolves. But obviously his fitness is not already all the way there yet. As we saw a few weeks ago, he had an appalling game, but he just came back from injury, and he had no choice but to play. But yeah, no, I was happy with it. I can't complain.
Yeah, definitely. I think, with regards to the lineup, I think a lot of Arsenal fans I think there's kind of multiple reasons why a lot of the time there isn't much of a reaction with the lineups now. And I think I've kind of touch upon what Stephen said. I think in comparison to where we are this season to where we were last season, and maybe even a little bit at the beginning of the season where, things were chopping and changing. I think that was more down to the fact that he just didn't have much of a squad to pick from. But if we compare where we are now to last season, you know, there was a lot of rotation. Sometimes I think a lot of us would feel maybe unnecessary. There wasn't a settled squad. But I think there's a couple of reasons. It could be that obviously, one, we have a limited squad. And I think it's clear, you know, from what Arteta is picking and from what we've seen on the pitch that, you know, that is our best 11. Albeit, you know, you can chop and change a couple of players, you know, Cedric out, Tommy in, you know, Pepe in, ESR out, Martinelli was suspended. But generally, you can more or less practically predict, you know, if not 9, 10 of the 11 players, you know, pinpoint it down to that. So I think it's good. It's something that we've always kind of wanted, particularly during last season. I know there was a lot of frustration. Yeah, there was a lot of frustration amongst the fan base, you know, just seeing, you know, different players in you know, week in, week out. And I think it affected us, you know, and I think it's affecting us this season, but in a positive way, because relationships are being built, you know, chemistry is being built. The same players are playing week in, week out. Exactly. So it's definitely a positive. We'll head over to the chat room before we obviously move over to the match. So really quickly, good evening, Barry. Barry here saying evening all. Big up Canners, evening guys, JD and Ginger Ale, please. And get whatever Lottie wants, no problem.
Thanks,
we've
Canners.
got Mrs. Silver Fox.
That's all right, we'll just buy our own.
Yeah, what about us? What about the fellas, man? What's going on? Mr. Silver Fox here saying multitasking king right there. We've got Stu saying, I think the lineup is kind of what was to be expected, given you don't want to rush Tommy back and give him more time to gain fitness, etc., and make sure he is fit and ready to go. Yes, which is what we basically said. I think none of us, you know, were too fussed to see Cedric start over Tommy in the game. Mrs. Silver Fox saying 34 had a brilliant game. Apologies. Well, we'll get onto that in terms of performance. Don't worry, Stephen, we'll get onto that. I can see you shuffling around as I read that comment out. Stuart here saying, Mrs. Silver Fox, you trying to annoy folks. Silver Fox saying, no, with a little cheeky smile and laughing face. Laughing back. And Gio Guna, yes, Gio Guna, nice to have you. Evening, guys. Right, so obviously, you know, we're not got, well, look, I didn't watch the game live. I was at work. I was kept up to date, obviously, via Twitter, via score updates, etc. And I had a bit of a busy weekend because it was me and my wife's 18-year anniversary. So we had, thank you very much. Thank you. So we kind of had plans straight after work. So I didn't really have time to watch the highlights or anything. I literally got in, had a shower, got a haircut, and was out the door again for a nice meal and a couple of drinks. So I didn't really catch up with the game until on the kind of Sunday evening, kind of Monday morning. So I know you guys both watched the game or must have watched like the extended highlights. I'll leave a lot of the talking to you. But I'll come to you first, Lottie. What did you make of just kind of like the kind of opening exchanges between kind of Arsenal Brentford? Were you impressed with the way we started the game?
Do you know what? I got to admit, I was a few minutes late. Obviously, I went with my mate George, and I had a bit of an argument with stewards over the audio headsets. So I kind of missed it. But once I managed to get to my seat, it wasn't too bad. I mean, it was in the clock end, usual crowd singing the right, like, brand new song. And it was good. The drum was out, and the atmosphere was great. The game picked up. It was a bit slow at first, but then eventually we found our rhythm for me, and then it just went from there. Really, I mean, if we look at the point where you get to the 32-minute mark in the first half hour, it was, I got a stat of 8 corners in 32 minutes, and we didn't capitalize on a single one of them. And we should be, because most of our goals have come from set pieces this year. Yeah.
What did you, Stephen? What did you make of obviously the opening exchanges and generally the kind of first half performance?
I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't see a massive amount of the first half. A bit like yourself, I was at work, and if my boss is watching this, I didn't see any of the match at all live. None of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a bit sort of, I don't know, because obviously I was trying to watch it on my phone, and the stream was a wee bit laggy at times. But I thought overall, I mean, we controlled the first half. As Lolly said, was it 8 corners in the first 30 odd minutes?
Yeah.
But again, and we talked about this before, it's that we talked about it when we were discussing Brentford. And actually Brentford's sort of performances this season and not making the most of their opportunities. And we said, as Arsenal fans, we know that feeling all too well. And again, it kind of felt like the same thing. There was times when I was sort of watching and I was going, is this going to be another one of these games where we can't take our chances, we can't capitalize, and we end up, not getting the result that we deserve. I'd say I think this season I'm a little bit easier in the sense that I still kind of think when we have those games that we still have it in us to pull a goal out of the bag somewhere. Whereas last season, you got that feeling, and more often than not, you were right. So yeah, I thought, I was a little concerned because, as I say, I thought we were controlling the game. I thought Odegaard was just sublime. He's just getting to the point now where just some of the stuff he's doing is just absolutely ridiculous. And it's just a joy to watch. But yeah, overall we controlled the first half, and it was disappointing that we didn't capitalize on it.
Yeah. No, definitely. Like I said, I didn't watch the game, but I was regularly kind of checking my phone and just kind of, getting updates through the phone and stuff like that. And the feeling I got was that, like you both said, we were dominating the game, but we weren't necessarily taking our chances. And I have to admit, I did get that feeling, Stephen. I got the feeling that, is it going to be one of those days where, we put in a dominant performance, but we don't necessarily get the result we deserve, particularly when it went to halftime and it was 0-0. So I was definitely feeling like that, even though I wasn't actually watching the game live. But yeah, we'll go to the comments and then we'll start obviously talking about some of the delightful goals that were actually scored against Brentford. So we've got Lee here. Congratulations again, G. Thank you very much. We've got Very Patient Woman. She is indeed. We've got Stu here saying congrats, G. We've got a cheers here from Stu. Another congrats. Mrs. Silver Fox saying congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. G. Thank you very much. We've got Keith with congratulations, G. Thank you so much for all your messages. And obviously all your messages and stuff on Twitter. It was really, really nice. Just kind of getting them and seeing how many people were so supportive. So thank you for that. Mrs. Silver Fox says here, the first half was a prime example that we need a clinical centre forward. Stu here saying, I thought our first half was a bit slow. A few little chances. We just need to be more potent up front. However, I love Odegaard. He's awesome and some great passing and range of balls. And lastly, Keith here, Odegaard going from strength to strength. So yeah,
sorry, Jay, just very quickly. Did you see the Odegaard's what looked like a miss kick, but actually when you watch it back, you can see it was very deliberate. The fact that he went the dummy kick, the ball out from Cedric, and he just completely. It's just dirty. That is just dirty that he can do stuff like that.
Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic. I did see it. I think I didn't watch it during the game because it wasn't actually part of the shortened highlights, but somebody had actually clipped it and put it on Twitter. And yeah, it was just phenomenal. And like you said, it's touches like that. I have to admit, I was one of the sections of the fans that wasn't massively, thrilled for the fact that he signed on a permanent basis. And yeah, I was quite critical of the signing at times, but like any fan, I want to be proven wrong. And right now he's absolutely looking like potentially, one of the signings of the season if he continues the way he is. So yeah, it's all good. We've got here, which I'm sure we're going to get onto at some point, Keith saying the ref was crap. We definitely will be discussing. Guna Gumza, good evening, Guna Gumza. Odegaard was balling on Saturday. We've also got that dummy ball kick was naughty. And lastly, Josh Jones, that dummy was absolutely brilliant. Yes, it was. So obviously the second half kicked off, and I'll come to you first, Stephen, on this one. I think it was on the 48th minute. To be honest, I'm literally just going to bring up this picture. I'm going to allow you to take it away because, yeah, I could talk about this goal all day.
Do you know what? Smith Rowe, when he gets moments like this, he's unplayable. I think the way the silky run was just so impressive. It really was. The finish was great. I think he came out afterwards and said in his interview that he thought the keeper probably was going to get it. So in some ways you could say he was fortunate that it did go in, because I think if we're being critical, the keeper should have saved it. If we are being critical, the keeper should have saved it, but he didn't, and that's all that matters. ESR has another one to his tally, and he looked a good player. My concern with him is he can't play 90 minutes. That's my big concern with ESR, but he's such a talent, and we are so lucky to have him.
Definitely. Lottie, what did you make of the goal, and what was your reaction like when it went in?
I went absolutely mental, of course. He's my favourite. Everyone should know that by now. He's an absolute favourite of mine. I mean, he's now on a total of 12 goals. Well, 9 goals. No, hang on. 9 goals. No, in total all season across all competitions, he's got 12 goals and assists. He's having a good season. I'm quite happy with him. But if we take away the assists, I think all comps is 11 goals now. He's doing very, very, very well this season, and I love him. I love him to pieces.
Does that mean he's only had 1 assist all season?
No, he's had 2 assists all season.
So 2 assists.
Yeah.
You see, taking nothing away from his goal scoring, but as a number 10, should he not be? And we were all very critical of Ozil towards the end of not creating enough. Yeah. Should he not be creating more?
Has he been on the pitch? Has he been on the pitch since Martinelli's been there?
Oh, he's been on the pitch to score goals. So why is he not creating them?
Yeah.
But you've also got a tough one as a case of Ozil's age and his age as well, and the levels of experience. That's another way you can look at it as well.
Yeah. Not a bad shout. Yeah, you know what? I think with ESR, I think for me, it was, I think off the back of kind of last season, and something I've always kind of said about the youngsters, I was very kind of open about criticizing them with regards to adding goals to their game. So it's true, I kind of agree with you, Stephen, to the point where as a number 10, you're looking for that kind of creative spark. You're looking for them to kind of, dictate the play, put the through balls in. You're kind of looking for them to be the creative spark in that side. At the same time, if you've got a number 10 who can get you, 10 goals, 15 goals a season, that is absolutely invaluable. So it is a difficult. I think it's something that that's where I kind of agree with Lottie, in that he is still young, his game is still developing. So it's kind of 2 sides to it. I think we kind of called upon the youngsters. Yeah,
I've got a stat for you. He's, with his injuries this season, he is the Premier League's top scoring goal midfielder. Sorry.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And he's been out with injury, and no other midfielder has caught up with him, and he is our top goal scorer this season. So I'm not complaining at all.
Yeah, it's one of those where I think, like I said, it's like I can definitely see where some Arsenal fans might be questioning the kind of creative side of it, but at the same time, I think given the goals, if we were to take away, just put it this way, if he hadn't been having the season he's having right now, we'd probably be in a much worse position. So it's one of those things where I think where he's young, his game will definitely still be developing. And I think if he can kind of be, if he can keep the goals coming and then improve his creative side of the game, then he'll be an absolute player one day. But yeah, right now I'm not going to complain at all. You know what I mean? He's putting the ball in the back of the net, and I think we need that, particularly when we look at the options that we have up front in the likes of Laka and Eddie. I think, you know, we really do our midfield players to kind of step in and get the goals.
No, definitely. I mean, players like Eddie, they can do well in cup games, but when it comes to a league game, he needs a big red arrow to show him where the hell the goal is. I mean, I think I'm starting to think lack of threat needs that soon as well, because he should be scoring.
No, it should be. He should be. He should be. We'll go to the comments before we move on to the next goal. So we've got Mr. Silver Fox here. Tierney was key to the ESR goal. Also, is ESR a 10 though? Yeah, well, that's kind of what we're debating here. That's kind of like what we're discussing, really. If you obviously, we've kind of had a little brief conversation here. Throw your comments, throw your thoughts in the comments in the chat room. Do you think he's a number 10? Should he be a number 8? You know, is he best, you know, placed to be that number 10? Because from what I can see, I can't really see anybody dislodging Odegaard in that number 10 role, because I think he has from what I've seen so far, he's definitely more suited to the number 10 role than ESR is. But yeah, let us know your thoughts in the chat, guys. We've also got Josh Jones. I think ESR creates for himself with his runs and positioning. So we've got some opinions on this. Stu saying ESR's goal was sweet, a little Henry-esque if I look at it again. We've got Chris. Good evening, Chris. He's not creating them because there's nobody up front to pass to. He's scoring them because he's the player highest up the pitch. Interesting. And really saying, I think ESI is best suited the inverted winger role, especially in a 4-2-3-1, whereas Martinelli more of an inside forward in the same formation, but in a narrower shape. So yeah, interesting.
Can I just say, G? Sorry.
Yeah.
G, can I just jump in and say, I'm not knocking ESR. I love him. I think he's a brilliant player. You know, so I don't want anybody to think I'm sitting here being overcritical of him. All I'm saying is it's okay to ask questions about other aspects of their game. You know, I did it sort of in the first half of the season. I did it with Saka, and I said that much as I love Saka, and you know, if you look at what Saka does, Saka he's less goals than ESR. He's got a few more assists, not massively many more assists, and we arguably could be asking more from Saka in terms of goals and assists. But if you look at what they do outside of stats, it's all the other things that they do. So it's okay to be critical about the stats side of it, as long as, you know, we're acknowledging that there is other aspects to their game. It's not just about goals and assists. It's all the link-up play and the interplay between players and stuff. So, you know, ESR is brilliant at that as well. He's brilliant at the driving, running, and as somebody said, they're creating the chance for himself. And I think more often than not, that's his real strength. He is that sort of player that will pick the ball up and he will drive at defenders and try to go past people. And I just don't want people to think that I'm being overly critical of him when I say that he's not creating enough for other people. But at the end of the day, if he sees himself as a number 10, he needs to be more creative in that sense of, you know, putting the ball in the positions for other people to score.
Maybe they'll have a bit of a number swap around in the summer. Who knows?
Who knows? But yeah, so I just want to be clear. I'm not knocking ESR. I'm just saying that, you know, whilst he's doing really well, why shouldn't we want more from him?
Yeah, definitely. Last comment here before we move on. Arteta's comments about ESR are very similar to Wenger on Gnabry playing across the front four. And Chris here, it is ironic. We finally get a goal-scoring midfielder and our strikers do a disappearing act. Yeah, it is. Definitely.
They haven't existed in like maybe 18 months. I don't mean to be funny.
Yeah, it's true. It's been the longest since we've actually had an actual striker, to be honest. Last comment here. So would you start him on Thursday or bring Martinelli back again? Well, that's an interesting question, and we'll leave that. We'll park that for the minute because we're actually going to be talking about the team sheet and the lineup for the Wolves game a little bit later in the show. Sod's law, I think. Right. So on the 79th minute, again, it was an absolute fantastic. You know, this is one of those finishes where I can only describe it as sweet. It was just a sweet finish. Obviously, we kind of won the ball. I think Brentford might have been on the attack. It was a bit of a counter attack. Partey did what was, a real kind of driving run. Played in Saka. He took a couple of touches and then literally just, sweet finish. Bottom right hand corner. Keeper had no chance. But yeah, give me your thoughts on the goal. Obviously, two Hairland boys. Scoring the goals and winning us the game. So yeah, Lottie, what did you make of the goal and Saka's general performance in this match?
Oh, do you know what? I was down the other end, and obviously, I'm gonna have a bit more. And I had this guy who's he's sitting across two seats. He's 6'6", and all I heard was literally I saw the ball curve round and going back on the net. I didn't see any of the build up, nothing, because of this guy and his big head, his big body. And it was just in my way. And I said to him, "Look, can you just stand there so I can see?" And he just looked at me, and then obviously he moved over eventually. But no, it was just I've watched the highlights, I've watched it back in slow motion, and it's just absolute work of art. I mean, I know we go on about here we go, Saka and Smith Rowe. It should the original words were Haylen's on a roll. Saka and Emil Smith Rowe. I can't get my words out tonight. What is going on? But it wasn't. I haven't had any drink since Saturday. That makes it worse. It's a work of art, honestly.
Definitely. And come over to you, Stephen, with regards obviously Saka, because like I say, it is something that we have been and we were critical with both these kids in terms of kind of adding goals to their game. But obviously Smith Rowe and now Saka obviously turning up with the goals to win us the game. What have you made of just kind of, well, first of all, what did you think of his general performance in the match? What did you make of the goal? And obviously, what have you made of Saka's season so far?
In terms of his performance in the match, I thought he was excellent. I thought he seems to he's developed a real understanding with Odegaard. And the interplay between the two of them is absolutely phenomenal. It's just an absolute joy to watch. Obviously, at this point, he had swapped over to the left-hand side rather than the right, because obviously Pepe, I think, was on at this point. And do you know what? The finish was absolutely amazing. It was a brilliant goal. Even Smith Rowe in his interview afterwards, saying that it was the better goal of the two. The way he just, it's hard to even put it into words how good the finish was. But the one thing that I don't think it's because it was such a good finish, the one person who's not getting enough praise was Partey. Partey's run for this goal, and not just his run, but his timing of the pass. He could have passed the ball earlier to Saka, but I actually think the defenders would have cut it out if he had gone earlier, or would have stopped Saka getting to the goal. The fact that he held on to the ball as long as he did and timed the pass so perfectly, it was an absolute thing of beauty. The whole goal, from the minute Partey picked up the ball in midfield and started that run, it was just an absolutely beautiful goal. So I think Partey deserves an awful lot of credit. And as I say, I haven't seen him getting the credit for it. I've seen Saka obviously taking the plaudits for the finish and stuff, but for me, Partey made that goal. Absolutely. Saka for the season, I think, we talked about this at the start of the season. He looked like he was burnt out after the Euros. He came back and he just wasn't on it. And he's just progressively got better and better. Again, whether it's because he listens to the show and we kind of, how do we dig at him, As we said before, we know there's someone inside Arsenal watching this. We just can't say who. So maybe it's getting back to him. Maybe he's watching it because we know he's seen the video that we put together for him after the Euros. So maybe he's a fan of the channel. And he's listening to what we've got to say. But yeah, no, do you know what? He's really come on. And as I say, for me, the biggest thing with Saka, it's not just his stats. It's about all the other stuff he does. We're a different team when Saka's on the pitch. And I would say, arguably, he's probably the first name on Arteta's team sheet now. And that's a lot for a 19-year-old kid. But But as we've said before, you know, if you're good enough, you're old enough. And you know, the team needs to be built around him, around players like him. And I'm happy that he's there. You know, I wouldn't want to see him be anywhere else.
Definitely. I think we're all in agreement with, you know, the fact that right now, you know, you know, obviously the team is taking shape. Obviously we can see that from the performances from the likes of Ramsdale, the back four. I think, you know, dare I say it, but having the experience of 34 and Partey, who seems to be obviously, you know, kind of coming up to speed. I think he's a couple of his recent performances have kind of gone under the radar. In terms of just how kind of good he's been. And I remember actually saying on a previous stream quite a while ago that if we can keep Partey fit and we can get Partey firing, we can definitely hit top 6. I remember saying it months ago, you know, because I massively rate this guy. You know, I see him play for Ghana. I see him play for Atletico Madrid in La Liga, and he is an exceptional player. He hasn't had the best start to his Arsenal career. It's been somewhat, you know, stop-start due to injuries, due to poor form. But I'm telling you, if we can keep this guy fit and we can keep him in the team and we can get him firing, when I say firing, I mean in terms of just his performances, his commanding performances in midfield, it definitely massively increases our chances of hitting top 6 and potentially top 4. So yeah, I'm glad you kind of mentioned him, because he was somebody that I was actually going to kind of make a point of mentioning, because I thought from what I saw, he had a fantastic performance yet again. And I think he's made a massive difference coming back into the team from AFCON. So yeah, generally, obviously, we're not going to spend too much time, you know, talking about the Brentford goal, because to be honest, no one really cares. But one thing that definitely has, or definitely for me, just watching the highlights. So for you guys who have watched, you know, obviously watching the game live, Lottie being at the game, Stephen, I think you watched the extended highlights. But even if you didn't watch the game live, even if you didn't even catch the highlights, you'd have to be on another planet to not know that, yet again, VAR and the officiating in this country has taken somewhat of the headlines. And I've kind of just put this collage together because, to be honest, I didn't know where to start. I literally didn't know where to start. I didn't know what order to talk about these incidents.
Sorry, G.
Yeah.
Does that say checking the club badge?
Checking the club badge.
Our Cannon Chatter Arms is in front of it. Oh
yeah,
my God.
it does say checking the club badge, because you know what? I actually saw it. I should probably, thank you, Stephen. I actually saw this. I don't know if somebody made it or created it, but I saw it on Twitter and I thought, absolutely perfect. So I can't even remember who did it. I should probably give them credit for it. But yeah, it was there. And I just thought, I'm going to put this collage together. And as you can see, you've got obviously, you know, the man himself there who reffed the game. You've got checking the club badge, and you've got 3 incidents that some people might say were the wrong calls or which were quite controversial, should I say. So you have the Lacazette goal that was chalked off for offside. You had the 2 penalty appeals. You had obviously Ben White being taken out, and I think Lacazette also being taken out in the same move. And there was even an additional incident where I can't remember who took the shot, but obviously there was a potential handball in the box where, you know, the shot actually hit the player's arm. And for me, it looked like an absolutely blatant and obvious penalty. So I'm going to leave this up here. Feel free to talk about everything you see, or feel free to just kind of pick one incident and just let me know your thoughts generally on VAR and officiating in this country. So Lottie, take it away. I'll give you the stage.
Words cannot describe how much I hate the referees of this country, especially this guy on the screen. He is the most useless guy I have ever seen, apart from maybe Pawson. I just literally, where I was sitting in the clock end, obviously we had, within the first 8 corners there was at least 2 handballs, and he waved it off. Can I just remind all Arsenal fans, VAR does not work at the Emirates unless it's for the opposing team. Otherwise, it's out of order. I mean, I don't know what he was watching half the time. I mean, it was just ridiculous. It was getting frustrating. So obviously fans at home and it within the ground. I mean, we should have at least had a minimum of 2.
Yeah.
Or at least 1 penalty in that first half. I mean, it's just so many. I don't know where to start, to be honest.
Yeah. It was go on.
Go on.
Yeah, like I said, for me it was crazy. Like even watching the highlights, but like I said, I wasn't watching the game live. But anytime I was kind of like walking around and stuff at work, there's a couple of Arsenal fans where I work, and obviously where we're keeping tabs on Twitter, you can see these incidents coming in, and you can see the reaction of fans, and it very much just felt like here we go again. And having seen these incidents in the highlights or clips that people had kind of put together on Twitter. It's just beyond me how with the referee on the pitch as well as VAR, how they can get so many of these wrong. Now, Stephen, talk to me about these incidents. Obviously the Lacazette goal, was it offside in your opinion? And generally, what did you make of the potential 3 penalty appeals that we had in this game?
Stephen, you're on mute.
Yeah, he's on mute.
Sorry.
No problem.
Yeah, I'll talk about it in a wee sec. I was looking up referees there while Lottie was talking and saying obviously about John Moss being useless. It's got to the point now where I seen it earlier on. There was someone put out a tweet about who's refereeing the game on Thursday night. I can't even remember who it is, but I've got to the point now where it doesn't matter. They're all useless.
Yeah.
They really are. I'm sitting looking through the list here. And
sorry, Stephen, it's Martin Atkinson.
Martin Atkinson. Okay, so I mean, Paul Tierney, Mike Dean, John Moss, Anthony Taylor, Michael Oliver, Craig Pawson, Martin Atkinson, Stuart Atwell, Andre Mariner, Chris Kavanagh, Kevin Friend. I mean, honestly, is there a single one of those that if they were the referee of the game, you'd be going, "Oh, we'll be all right tonight"?
No, not a single one.
There's not a single one. They're all useless. So John Moss, I mean, I have no more ill feeling towards John Moss as I do any other referee because they're all pathetic. In terms of Lacazette's goal, was it offside? I don't know. I don't know. And the reason I don't know is because we never got to see.
Yeah,
where was the replays that had all those nice wee intricate lines that you can see?
Yeah,
never seen it. It was really quickly they decided that was offside, but we never got to see. I mean, Lottie, obviously you're in the stadium, and there's the big screens. I mean, do they replay this stuff up on the big screens?
No. It literally they sat there and made the decision, and it was decided that 34 was offside. And that's why it wasn't counted. They blamed it on him.
Right, so it wasn't even that Lacazette was offside?
Nope, it was 34. That's what came up on the screen. They disallowed it because he was in an offside position.
I can't even see him.
Was he the one that was playing the ball in? I don't know because it wasn't even a part.
I think so. I think he was.
Highlights. Yeah.
I think he was, but they blamed it on him.
Right. Okay. So the answer is I don't know. I don't know.
We didn't get any. Sorry, Stephen. We didn't get any fancy lines or anything. We just had the usual VAR screen checking for offside. Then his name came up with the badge. That was it.
But even on the TV, for us watching on the TV, and there was no lines, none of this fancy graphics that we get to see when it's any other team. I don't want to go down the route of going, "Oh, there's definitely a conspiracy," but I mean. It does look, and you see it all the time. People saying they're not even trying to hide it anymore, and you do kind of feel that they just don't want Arsenal to be in the top 4. Obviously, from a commercial standpoint, the Premier League want United in the top 4. Because it's better for them commercially to have United than it is to have Arsenal. But it just seems to have been going on for so long. They've obviously announced that they're going to do an overview and they're going to, try and look at the refereeing, but it's too little, too late. And I mean, there's times I sort of say to myself, if I was Arteta, I'd just tell the players to get off the pitch, just leave. And I've said this before, I'd fully back him if he did it. I would fully back him if he turned around and says, it's not good enough, we're not playing anymore. Forfeit the game. Forfeit again if that's what it takes, but that will make a bigger statement than just, he's come out and said, oh yeah, he's going to talk to the Referees Association, but it would be a bigger statement just to take the players off the pitch and say, no, sorry, these referees are not good enough to referees these matches. Until you sort it out, we'll not be playing.
Yep.
In terms of the penalty incidents, yeah, a couple of them at least should have been penalties. But it is what it is, at least we won the game. That was the main thing. It'd be an awful lot worse if we were sitting here talking about the fact that we didn't win the game. And it was, yet again, VAR that cost us and refereeing decisions that cost us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, definitely. We've got here, we'll go to the chat room. Kind of saying 100% agree, G, on Partey. Thank you very much. You've got Stu, offside goal, you mean? And I think you're referring to the Brentford equaliser. Yeah, because from what I saw, offside. It looked like it was an offside goal. But yeah, it as Stephen said, it's just is what it is. It's got to the point where it's like Stephen said, you don't take any comfort, whenever they announce the referee, you take no comfort from whoever's refereeing or officiating the game, because it's almost like every single referee, there is an incident or there's a memory where we've been shafted by that particular, official. And yeah, VAR just does not seem to. I remember reading out some stats. I think it was earlier on in the season, and we were finishing top and bottom of the respective leagues in terms of decisions going against us, and so forth. So the only silver lining is, like Stephen said, at least we're winning games now where we are still getting shafted, but we're managing to get results. How long that's going to last is another question, particularly when we've got some really big games coming up against the likes of Chelsea, Spurs, and United. You just feel like in those games where, the differences between winning and losing can be so tight, this may actually, cause us to drop points. But let's hope that doesn't happen. We've got Ridley Sakar was gutted to not get the clean sheet. Yes, exactly. So was I, particularly with Ramsdale in my fantasy football league team.
Exactly.
Stuart here, same here, Ridley. We've got Ridley again saying John Moss is not fit enough to referee a top flight game of football. We've got Josh Jones. For me, the handball was 100% a penalty. Yep. And I can't remember who it is, Stephen. You'd know the name. He goes onto Sky Sports and he reviews the weekend's decisions. He's an ex-retired ref. Can't remember his name. Bald geezer with glasses. He always goes on Sky Sports News. Yeah, the name's gone from me. But he actually said, because I watched it on Sky Sports News, and he said that the two penalty appeals against Ben White and Lacazette were not penalties, but he did agree to say that the handball was a handball, and he doesn't understand why it was given. But yeah, if you can find out his name, that'd be great. I can't remember.
Dermot Gallagher?
That's it. That's the one. Yeah. So he actually went on there, Sky Sports, and he actually said he didn't think that the penalty appeals were penalties, but the one that he would have given, and he doesn't understand why it wasn't given, was the handball. Because he said that the arm was in an upright position, an unnatural position away from the player's body, so it should have been given. Stuart here says the officiating is shocking. Moores, when we play, VAR is useless and just not worth the money, etc. We've also got Ridley Sakar saying Stephen getting muted by Mike Riley. We've got Stuart, our ref for Wolves is not great one either for Thursday. Mr. Atkinson for Thursday. Mr. Silver Fox, Martin Atkinson, he's the worst. Yeah, gosh.
I think Mike Dean tops that list, Tony. He's the top of that list for me. Oh, useless.
Stuart saying, Stuart Atwell and the City game still makes my blood boil. Ridley Sakar saying they're all the same. But having said all that, if we play our game, we'll win on Thursday, irrespective of match officials. Chris saying Peter Banks is easily the worst referee I've seen this season. Not just was he useless in the Brentford versus Wolves game, but for some reason went missing at the beginning of the second half. Are Laka and Pepe getting reputations? Laka won most pens for us, so refs know that. Good point, potentially. I don't know whether it's something against Laka or whether it's just something against Arsenal. I know, Stephen, you're not going down a conspiracy route, but for me, I really can't come to any other conclusion other than there's an agenda against Arsenal. Dermot Gallagher is the ex-ref on Sky Sports. Cheers for that. And lastly, Dermot Gallagher. And then we have So Glad That's Thursday's game is on Amazon, Can't Stand Sky Sports. So yeah, that kind of brings up the roundup of the match. Is there any kind of last thoughts on obviously performance, result, individual performances before we move to look ahead to the Wolves game?
Do you know what? It was a good game. It was a good game. I was kind of disappointed with the Brentford fans because they were silent. And I think they sung maybe one song. Shall we sing a song for you? And they were kind of drowned out by us. It was really disappointing considering how loud they were over at their ground from what we saw.
Mm-hmm.
But the game is 3 points in the bag, and well done to Stephen for predicting the right score.
So did you, to be fair.
I know, but you called it first. You called it first. You didn't ask me till Saturday morning, and I just gave you a random number. I didn't think about it.
One thing we haven't sort of talked about, the incident obviously attaining to the captain's armband when Lacazette went off.
Oh, yes.
So obviously, Lacazette gave the armband to Eddie Nketiah. Nketiah went to give it, first of all, the 34, but couldn't get it to him, so he wore it for a couple of minutes. Then he went to give it to 34, who said no. And then it was given to Tierney. Now, obviously, in the post-match press conference, Arteta was asked about it and said it should have been Tierney getting it. He's the next in line. So obviously, he's saying that the Tierney is the vice captain of the team, which, if that is true, is great. So pleasing, because that means that next season, hopefully, Tierney will be given the armband on a full-time basis if Lack is away. But do you think that is the honest truth? Or do you think Arteta was just publicly backing and defending what happened on the pitch?
Boy, I'm not sure, to be honest. You know what it is with Arteta? I would say, there is a high chance that it is potentially true because, he is a man. He doesn't really kind of mix his words. He doesn't really kind of, tiptoe around subjects. But at the same time, while he is often quite upfront and blunt, there are times when he doesn't give a lot away. So if he has an opinion on something, he will just come outright and say it. But generally, I think when he's not too sure when he's not sure himself, he wants to keep it to himself, he is quite stum in terms of like what he wants to say. Particularly like if you look at the recent interview when they asked him about Aubameyang, he didn't really comment. He just kind of said he hadn't seen anything, which is just virtually impossible. Even when they asked him the question about Thierry Henry's recent comments, again, he just kind of blased it and said, I hadn't heard. I don't really know what you're talking about. So it's really hard to kind of read Arteta. I'm hoping that what he has said is true, because I think all of us are pretty much in agreement that we do feel as though, Tierney is one of those players that, should be in the running, if not, next in line for the captaincy. I think my only concern with Tierney has been previously to do with his match fitness and how many games like he might potentially miss. But I think being a captain is not always just about, being on the pitch. It's about just kind of how you represent the club, your presence inside the changing room, on and off the pitch. But obviously we do need a captain who is somebody that's going to stay fit for the vast majority of the games and who's going to be present for the vast majority of the games. But yeah, to answer your question, I'm not quite sure. I don't know if Arteta's being absolutely honest or if he's just kind of playing a good poker face and just kind of telling us, just defending, the situation on the pitch and not giving too much away. I think only time will tell whether who is going to be the long-standing, next captain for Arsenal. But I think what is crucial is that whoever is going to be captain, they make the right choice, because let's face it, the last two appointments have not been great. Obviously, our last two permanent captains have both been stripped of the captaincy. So that is something that we really, really need to rectify. And given the fact that we are a young team, we're an inexperienced team, I think whoever is given, the captain's armband has a major, major role to play. And it's a massive, massive responsibility. So I don't know, in all honesty, but I just hope they get it right. Any other views, Lottie or Stephen?
Do you know what?
I
I completely.
Sorry, do you have an opinion on it? Yeah, but
no, I completely agree with you. But in a way, I feel that he is backing his players, and he is speaking truth. You've got to remember that he's completely changed the culture of this team. If you look back to the days of Alexis and Ozil, I think I saw a clip of us with our black and pink Puma kit. We were away somewhere, and I remember Alexis scored. I remember the goal myself, but Alexis scored, and no one's like maybe 34 and Ozil came to celebrate, but no one else came over to celebrate the goal. Yeah. And it didn't make sense. If you look at it now, as soon as that ball goes back in the net, they're all there. The culture is completely changed. Arteta's shown he's that manager that won't be messed about, and if there's a problem, he'll solve it. I mean, he's shipped out the egos. I mean, some of his comments that have come up recently about Pepe, his attitude changing, and so that he is now making the bench. I mean, it all could be to do with Aubameyang leaving, because we know he had an ego. We all saw his Instagram and everything else. He was just flash with it all. The culture's completely changed. So I do think he's speaking the truth.
Yeah, and quite a few people in the chat actually are coming and actually saying that they actually believe Arteta in terms of what was said or what his comments were after the game. Do you have an opinion on it, Stephen, given the fact that you posed the question?
Do I have an opinion on it? I have an opinion on everything. So yeah. Do you know what? When it happened, I was watching it at the time, and I just thought to myself, I like most people jumped to conclusions and went, that just says so much about the man 34 is, that he would turn away from taking the opportunity. And I seen, obviously reading all the comments and stuff on Twitter afterwards, and people saying, oh, he's damned if he does and damned if he doesn't. And, he did the right thing, not taking the armband and this sort of thing. And I kind of think to myself, well, did he? Because he comes out and professes his love for the club, and things like that. Whenever, he doesn't get his transfer, he suddenly loves the club again. So I was annoyed at the time, but at the same time, I would have been annoyed if he had taken it, if that makes sense. And not so much that if he had taken it, I think I would have been more annoyed that he was offered it. Because to me, he shouldn't be offered the captain's armband, after everything that's gone on. So, when I seen Tierney with the armband on, it just made me happy. And I want to believe what Arteta said. And I think it was, if I'm reading through his comments, it was Josh Jones there, his comment, and he wrote "want" in capital letters. I'm the same. I want to believe that Arteta is telling the truth. We'll never know for sure, but I have to sort of trust that he is telling us the truth, and that he should be, that he is next in line.
Yeah, no, definitely. Does Stephen not like number 34? I forgot. I'm not sure how you forgot that, Gary, but
sorry, I had to bring that up.
I just have a little thing about him. It's just a tiny little problem with him.
Oh gosh, brilliant. But yeah, look, you know what? At the end of the day, for me, just to kind of round up before we move on to Wolves, it was definitely a potential banana skin. I think we spoke about on Friday, how impressed we have been with Brentford. They've put in some really good displays. Probably not always got the results they deserved, but they've taken points of some really, really good sides. So it was a potential banana skin, which we got past. We got the 3 points, and we kept our the race for the top 4 alive. So all good. But yeah, at this point, we're literally gonna switch over. So we're gonna take a short break, and then when we come back, we're going to be previewing what is a massive game this Thursday. Apologies there, guys. I've got some technical issues with my laptop. It's running a little bit slow. But yeah, for those of you who are still with us, thank you so much for tuning in to tonight's show. We've literally just finished up rounding up the review of Arsenal 2-1 win over Brentford. For any of you that are tuning in tonight, if you haven't subscribed or liked tonight's video, please do that. All your support is massively, massively appreciated. So yeah, second half of tonight's show, we're going to be kicking off with a preview of the game on Thursday night, which is a massive game. 15 games to go between now and the end of the season, and every single one of them feels like literally a cup final. Obviously, with it being so tight at the top, with all the chasing pack, it's really, really crucial that we pick up as many points as we can, because we definitely do have some big games coming up against big opposition. So this is where we're going to start. We're going to start with Lottie's team. Now, I'm going to let Lottie explain, because I have to be honest, when I got this team message to me from Chris, and big up Chris for doing, you know, all our graphics in terms of lineups and stuff like that. I must say, it did raise it. You know, I had raised eyebrows, and I was a little bit surprised. But also, I thought it was great, because I thought, yeah, you know, we've got something to talk about in terms of the lineups, because they've been pretty predictable over the last kind of couple of weeks and months. So I'm going to bring up the lineup. For those of you in the chat, have a little look at it. Let us know your thoughts. But yeah, Lottie, if you can do the honors, take us through, obviously, the team that you would play against Wolves. And obviously explain why you would put ESR up front.
Do you know what? I wanted to do something different. I'm bored of seeing Eddie. I'm bored of seeing Lacazette not scoring. And at this point in time, both Martinelli and ESR are scoring. So I thought, you know what, why not put them both in? I've seen Martinelli up top. We've all said before, well, I think you said it, G, that he looked lost the last time he was put up front on his own. So I thought, you know what? After Arteta's comments, I thought, you know what? Let's put him up top and see what he can do. But the back five doesn't need explaining. I'd love to see Tommy back for this game. We all know Wolves are absolutely flying this season. I have been watching them. Now I've been watching quite a few of their games. I've actually enjoyed it. Although Jimenez at the moment, who's their main man, isn't actually scoring due to his. I think he's feeling the effects of his injury that he had previously. But yeah, no, I'd love to. The back five is pretty much set in stone for me. If Tommy's not fit enough, fine, put Cedric in. He's absolutely flying at the moment. Middle of the park, I'm surprised Chris put his face in there, but 34's there. I can't see Sambi getting on there, because 34's a pet. As you said earlier in the show, Party has been brilliant since he came out and said he's been absolutely rubbish. He's started his Arsenal career properly now, and I'm quite pleased with that. Odegaard, goes without saying, and the guy is an absolute baller. I am so pleased with myself. I backed him as a smart buy. And then the front three, it's pretty self-explanatory. Well, I've gone through it really.
Mm-hmm. No problem. So I'll come to you, Stephen. Any thoughts on the lineup?
Here we go.
Get ready.
Dun, dun, dun.
Pour yourselves another drink. No, do you know what? It's fair enough. Obviously, you've gone from Martinelli straight back into the side at the expense of Lacazette. And obviously, Tomiyasu coming back in, which I think is, I'm not sure if it was yourself, G, or somebody else said that the other night, that, you know, potentially don't rush him back in for the Brentford game. Play Cedric and keep Tomiyasu for the Wolves game on Thursday night. So that, and you're more than likely that is what will happen. You know, I think we will see Tomiyasu back in on Thursday night. The thing with the ESR up front, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't want to see it. I don't. And that's no disrespect to ESR. I love the player. I genuinely do. And I get that. I know why you've put him there. And it's obviously off the back of Arteta's comments this week, that he sees him as someone who can play on the left or the right. He can play in behind, or he could play as a, potential number 9. And And I understand that, how excited you got when you heard that, because we discussed it. And obviously you've been making it very clear on Twitter and stuff how happy you are with those comments. But I think not just yourself, but I think a lot of people have taken those comments out of context. In the sense of, I don't think Arteta's coming out and saying that he sees Smith Rowe as a centre forward. I think it's what I have said before, that if you look at the style of football that Arteta wants to play, he wants players to be able to play in more than one position. He wants them to be versatile and to be able to interchange. And we talked about this before. If you look at the great Barcelona teams, the front three could play anywhere across the front three.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what he was alluding to, that ESR is getting to that level where he could play anywhere across the front three when they're interchanging. I don't think he meant that, he would be putting the ESR there as a full-time number 9. I think it's more a case of, Saka, Martinelli, ESR could all play any of those positions. And Pepe arguably as well could play any of those positions.
Yeah.
So it allows your front three to rotate. And what that means is that makes it very difficult for the defenders to defend against them. Because, if a defender's going out and they're told, right, your job's to pick up Saka. Well, if Saka's starting on the right and then 5 minutes later he's on the left, and 5 minutes later he's in the middle, well, that defender doesn't know where he's supposed to be. Does he stay in his position or does he go with Saka? So when those players are constantly interchanging, it makes it really hard to defend against. And that's what Barcelona did so well and made them so successful when they had like Messi, Neymar, and Suarez up front. They all interchange so well.
Similar with Liverpool, isn't it?
Yeah, similar with Liverpool. When you have those interchanging players, and I think that's more what Arteta meant. I don't think he necessarily meant that ESR would be a full-time number 9, and it's not something I want to see personally. I like the idea of them all interchanging and all moving about, but I don't think as a playing them up top. And I think arguably at the minute I would probably still put Martinelli in the middle over ESR. But I still, we have Wolves on Wednesday night or Thursday night, and then we don't have another game for another week or two, is it, before we play a game?
We've got,
I think, till the next game.
Yeah, we've got Wolves on Thursday night. I'm just trying to find where it is. So we've got Wolves on Thursday, and then we don't
Watford
have
away on the 6th of March. Watford away.
Yeah, so
then
it's
Leicester
a
on the
week
following Sunday.
for the next game. So again, I don't see any reason. Laka's not doing anything in terms of goal scoring, but he's still a strong influence with those young kids. So for me personally, I'd still rather play Laka up front.
Quick question. Yeah. Quick question then, based on obviously you'd bring in Laka, you'd keep Laka. Obviously, I think the rest of the team you're pretty match up. But obviously, where you would say that you'd have Laka up top in place of ESR, what would you do now with the left-sided position, given the fact that obviously ESR has scored, he's in great form, but now Martinelli is available again?
Do you know what? It's a really tough question. I think given the fact that Martinelli was sent off against Wolves, he will be chomping at the bit to get at them. ESR, my concern with Smith Rowe is his ability to complete 90 minutes.
Yeah.
That's my biggest concern with him. And I know he has done it, don't get me wrong. I know he has played 90 minutes, and quite a few. But it is a worry, his sort of fitness and his fragility. And I kind of think that he's a really good player to have coming off the bench when defenders are tired. When you've got someone who can drive, and not just drive with the ball, but actually has the ability to keep the ball close to him and go past people, and go around them quite easily. when you have that coming at you on tired legs, you know, a fresh ESR coming on with 20, 25 minutes
it's a
against
problem.
tiring defenders who have already been tired out by the fact that, you know, Saka and Martinelli are so quick and Odegaard's range of passing and movement is so good. Having someone like Smith Rowe coming on for 20, 25 minutes, that's, you know, if you look at where Smith Rowe's getting his goals, it is in that time period. It is, you know, sort of in the last 20 to 25 minutes of matches because he is going up against tired defenders. So, yeah, I think I would probably start Martinelli. I know Lottie's not going to be happy with me for saying that, but I would probably start Martinelli and keep ESR to come on and smash them in the last 20 minutes.
Okay.
Do you know what? You're allowed your opinion. It doesn't matter if I'm happy or not. It's what you think. That's what we want to know.
I know.
Yeah. Definitely. Right, we'll go to the chat before we kind of move on. So we've got here Gary. Lottie, you are funny. I love it. I would love to see that lineup. The Arsenal home crowd would too.
I'm there, so yeah, I definitely do want to see that, Gary.
We've got really. I think Laka will start up top again. I would have Martinelli up top though, and ESR on the left. Thank you for that. We've got Joseph. Good evening, Joseph. Lottie out of Pepe. Eddie and Lacazette, who would you bring on?
I'm sorry, but Pepe all day long. Oh, Pepe! I don't want the other two. They need, unless someone wants to get some big red arrows for those goals, each end of the pitch. Pepe all day long, especially after his former AFCON.
Brilliant, no problem.
I thought Pepe actually was really good when he came on the other day.
Yeah, no,
he looked
brilliant.
sharp. He looked sharp.
You know, so in that question, yeah, Pepe first. Then if that was the team we were to see on Thursday night, then yeah, in terms of subs coming on, it would be Pepe first, then Lacazette, because whilst I said before, he's not offering an awful lot in terms of goal threat, he is really good with those kids, and you know he brings them into the game well. He holds the ball up well. Eddie just offers nothing. He really did. I mean, his decision making is just woeful. You know, he really is. I don't get why he's at a Premier League club, let alone why he's at Arsenal.
Yeah, definitely. I think, you know, when it comes to Eddie, I personally wouldn't lose any sleep or mind if I didn't see him again feature for Arsenal. I just hope that, the likes of Laka, you know, Martinelli, Saka, Smith Rowe, you know, Pepe can get some chances and they can all stay fit, because like I said, I wouldn't personally prefer to see him again between now and the end of the season. Josh Jones here saying, I agree with Stephen. I think he's better coming from deep with the runs, etc. Gary, have a good night, Keith. Yeah, so just say good evening, Keith. I know you had to go. We've seen how quiet Foden was on Sunday. Poor games at false nine seem to stick out. We've got Gary here. Personally, I think Saka should rest. If Martinelli is ready, I feel rotating the youngsters will help in the long term.
Do you know what? Gary has a point there. When was the last time we saw Saka rested?
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like the boy keeps putting in display after display. And obviously, I think given the kind of squad that we've got, I think it's really hard to rest him. But I think we need to start making more use of Pepe. We do. We really do.
And I think the last game I saw him start from the bench was AFC Wimbledon in the Cup.
Yeah.
I remember because I was down in the front of block 2 and the kid just wanted to get on. I'm like, dude, give yourself a rest.
Yeah.
But you can see how much he likes to play ball.
Yeah, no, definitely. And that's the thing. He's going to have that hunger to continue to play as well.
Oh, no, definitely.
So it's definitely a balancing act for Arteta that he's going to have to manage between now and the end of the season. But I think given the fact that we've also got, you know, only one game a week, I know we do have that period where we've got like 3 games in 6 days. I think that's going to be key. Rotation is going to have to be key during that period. Gary here, I still think rotation works though. We've got here the Mr. Arsenal podcast. Good evening to yourself. We have, or good evening, as you said. We've got Lee here, smiley, laughing faces. Really, people often forget that Martinelli is also an excellent header of the ball. Gary saying rest for Saka isn't just physical, it's mental too. Very, very good point. Josh Jones, do you need to rest of your players over a game a week? And that's kind of what I said. It's a difficult one. It is a difficult one with regards to resting because we don't have that many games. So you kind of feel like they should be fit enough to kind of keep going if they are playing only once every 7 to 10 days. Gary here, I feel ESR has benefited from sitting out a bit. Stu,
Yes.
I'd love to see Pepe given some more match time. And lastly, Joseph, unpopular, but I would rather either El Nene or Sambi instead of 34. Interesting. Because I think a lot of the
actually
family...
miss seeing Sambi play.
Yeah.
Strange.
I understand what you're saying. I do miss Sambi, but I just feel like with the intensity and the pressure that is now on the Arsenal squad to finish in the top four, I just think, I'd kind of rather, you know what, just put it this way. If it goes wrong between now and May, I'd rather it go wrong with number 34 in the team than Sambi. Just put it that way.
Well, if it's going to go wrong, his 34 is going to get another red card. I'm sorry.
No, but
he's not going to take any of the risk out of his play.
I just wouldn't want to see Sambi's performances come under the spotlight and be a reason why we don't finish in the top four. Because I think if
we
that
haven't
happens,
seen him since Liverpool, so that says it all. Really,
it's a tough one. Yeah, personally, I can't see it. I can't see him coming back into the side, but I kind of have to agree with Arteta if he sticks with 34 between now and the end of the season. Because I just think, I think given his age and his inexperience, I think right now 34 is going to offer us more than Sambi. That's just my opinion right now. I think it's better to kind of play him rather than Sambi. We've got here the Mr. Arsenal podcast. Sambi needed the rest after what happened in January, to be honest. And Gary, unpopular over here. We would love to see that no more 34. The more he plays, ups the risk of the red. Right. So at this point, we're going to get some score predictions. Now, we don't actually have a fan score prediction. So whoever's quickest on the draw to get your score in the chat, we're going to take as our fan bet.
That would go to Keith Wareham then, wouldn't it? Because he's already done his.
I completely forgot that he did his, but yeah, I don't know. Should we go with Keith because he did his earlier, or should we go with?
I don't think that Keith's done it. Stephen.
Can maybe sack to find my spreadsheet.
No problem.
I know that other Keith's done it.
Yeah, I don't know if he's done it. I don't know. I don't know if we'll go. Well, we'll decide. Do you know what Keith actually put in the chat earlier?
I can go. Hang on, let me scroll up.
Yeah,
I think he said 3 something.
Okay. I can't remember what he actually predicted, but
sorry, give me a second. Give me a second to find it.
Yeah, no worries. In the meantime, while Stephen and Lottie are thinking about their score predictions, we've got the Mr. Arsenal podcast, who was first, but we might not go for yours because we did have one earlier in the show. But however, you are saying 2-0, I believe, to the Arsenal. Stu has got 2-1. Josh Jones, awful autocorrect there. We've got Gary 2-1 to the Arsenal. We've got Joseph, Arsenal 1, Wolves 0. And we've got Riddy 1-0 to the Arsenal. We also have Stu here saying Keith did a 3-1 before he left. Okay, so he was technically the first. 3-1. So if you can just look up those odds, please, Stephen, that would be great. 3-1 to the Arsenal. I'll come to you, Lottie, while Stephen's doing that. What are you going for in this game? Obviously, massive game, massive 3 points we need to pick up.
We all know Wolves are playing attacking football at the moment. They're flying.
Yeah.
But Jimenez is not scoring at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And they do burn out. So I'm going to go I'm going to go 2-1 to the Arsenal again.
No problem. So 2-1 for Lottie. Lee Meadows just kind of nipped in here. I'll take 2-0 Arsenal. Got to go for the night. Great show, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, Lee. We've also got another comment here. Devil's Advocate, who plays more between now and the end of the season, Holding or Sambi to close out games? For me, definitely Holding. Definitely Holding. I think Holding's cameo performance in the game against Wolves when we went down to 10 men was exceptional. I think the reason why I think he will have more minutes between now and the end of the season is because he knows the Premier League. He's got more experience. I think if you're going to call on a player to close up a match out of Holding and Sambi, I think you pick Holding every single time. That's just my opinion. I don't know what you guys think. But yeah, Lottie's gone for 2-1. While Stephen is still kind of working out the odds and stuff, I'm going to go 1-0 Arsenal. Do you have any opinion on this question, Lottie?
Oh no, Bob Holding's left the building. Super Rob Holding's back, isn't he? So it goes without saying. Sam, as we said earlier, Sambi's done a really good job. He's only 22. He's still got time to learn. He's still learning his trade. So it's got to be Rob, especially if, I hate to say it, especially if we're going to bin him in the summer.
Yeah,
he needs to be showcased, so to speak.
Definitely. But yeah, so thank you for your score predictions. Any more coming in, please pop them in now. As I said, Lottie went 2-1 to the Arsenal. I went 1-0 to the Arsenal. But Keith Wareham earlier predicted 3-1 to the Arsenal. We've got some more comments here, but thank you for that question because it's a really interesting one in terms of Holding or Sambi. Stu saying bye to Lee. Stu also saying big Rob Holding, no question for me. And Gary also saying many have said Neto looks good. Okay.
Yes, he has been looking good. So has Neves, which is it's going to be a good game either way. It's not going to be a flat boring game.
It's going to be a tough.
It's going to be end-to-end football. I hope it is anyway.
Yeah. Over to you, Stephen. Score predictions.
So Keith's 3-1 is odds of 14-1. So obviously that will return £15 if that is the case, which would be great for our charity bet. For myself, I'm going to go 2-0.
Okay,
brilliant. I'm going to go 2-0. I was going to say 2-1, but seeing Lottie said that, I'm going to go 2-0 just to keep it interesting. And in terms of the El Neni Holding, what was it, El Neni Holding?
Sambi.
No, it was
Sambi Holding. Yeah, it depends on the formation. You know, Holding only came on because we were going to sort of 3 at the back. But Holding needs to go. He just needs to be gone from the club. He's not good enough. And I know if Tony's watching or when Tony watches this back.
Yeah, Mr. Silver Fox, just
block your ears, mate.
Block your ears, mate, because this is not for you.
He's going to DM me, giving me dog's abuse for saying this, because he will fight that agenda for the rest of his days. That Holding's world class. Holding's not even. He's not top half of the Premier League class. Quite frankly, he's too hit and miss.
You're asking for it, Stephen.
I'm asking for it, but do you know what? He's hit and miss. Yes, Holding has some great games. And to be fair, when he came on the other week, against Wolves, he was brilliant. He was, absolutely phenomenal. But the problem is, the next week he'll be absolutely duff. And there's just no consistency with him, and there never has been. Never has been consistency with him, and that's his problem. He has so much potential if he could get his consistency. But he's just never done it. He's never been consistent.
I think that's definitely worth a stream. So yeah, Mr. Silver Fox, if you are watching, whether it's Cannon Chatter, whether it's the Armory, I think we need to have this debate live on air. So drop us a DM and let's get it sorted.
Yeah. Gee, I think you might need to fight by yourself, like literally find the sound like the boxing bell for the rounds.
Yeah, definitely. But it's all about opinions. That's what it's all about.
Let's get ready to rumble.
All about opinions, right? And that's what this game's about. Gary here, many have said Neto looks good. We read that comment. Thank you for that, Gary. Josh Jones, Holding is more mentally prepared to come on and do a job, close out the game. Stu here, 34 will look after Neves till the red card.
I swear,
go on.
If I'm blaming Gary and Stu, if that happens, I am blaming you. If that happens, you've jinxed it.
Riddy here saying Holding is better than Maguire. He's better than Cannavaro. Wow. My fridge is better than Maguire and it's broken. Brilliant. Well, literally, that is comment of the show. My fridge is better than Maguire and it's broken. Absolutely fantastic, Gary. We're gonna have to snippet that and put that out there because that is absolutely brilliant. But yeah. That's about it really in terms of the show. before we kind of run through the socials and kind of wrap up the show and say good evening, etc., etc. In terms of next shows and when we are back now, I know for sure we are back. Well, Lottie, are you doing a show on Friday?
I am back early Friday evening with all the latest on the Arsenal women. It's my first show of the year, so we will be talking everything: transfer window, new transfers, in cup knockouts, everything. And I've got some really awesome guests lined up, actually.
Excellent.
Quite looking forward to it.
Brilliant.
I will
here.
confirm
Hello,
a time in
guys.
the next
I'm
couple
late,
of days,
but I'm
guys.
here. Thank you for tuning in. Better late than never. And we've got obviously some laughy emojis here from Riddy with regards to what Gary has said, and also from Josh Jones. It's a fantastic, brilliant comment. My fridge is better than Maguire and it's broken. That's fantastic. But yeah, in terms of, so Lottie is back on Friday doing a Arsenal ladies show, which is good for her to be back doing that. I don't think we're going to be having a review show of the Wolves game on Friday. I think we're leaving it until Monday. Is that right, Stephen? Tuesday. Okay. And tell us a little bit about, or anything you can say about Tuesday's show.
So Tuesday, yeah, we might as well say what's going on. Tuesday is officially our first birthday. So Canon Chatter TV, not Canon Chatter, but Canon Chatter TV will be 1 year old next Tuesday. So we have one of our specials lined up. I'd love to tell you what's going to happen, but I'll be honest, I haven't fully planned it all yet. Just hopefully it will be a good show. We will do a bit of a quiz and stuff like we have been doing on our specials. So if you are tuning in, make sure and have 2 devices handy, one to watch on and one to take part in the quiz. And other than that, we'll have a bit of a laugh, bit of banter. We'll review the Wolves game and we'll see what else we get up to. But yeah, 1 year, G. Can't believe we've been doing this for almost a year. A year next week.
Crazy. Yeah, crazy. So yeah, lots to look forward to. Obviously, the ladies show is back on Friday. So those of you who are into the game, or if you're not into the ladies game, do tune in and find out more about it. Really good opportunity to kind of, get up to scratch with what's going on at Arsenal ladies. And then as Stephen said,
flying.
There you go.
Don't forget that. Top of the league, ahead of Chelsea still. Happy days.
Yep. And then on Tuesday, as Stephen said, we will be celebrating our birthday, which is a year of Canon Chatter TV, which is crazy because it's absolutely flown by, but enjoyed every single minute of it. So please do look out for all the tweets and reminders with regards to those 2 shows, and make yourself available, whether or not it's the Friday night show for the Arsenal ladies, and obviously the Tuesday night show for Canon Chatter TV's first birthday. But yeah, we're going to run through the socials and then we're going to round up any last comments, and then we're going to call it a night. So,
one more thing. Just a reminder for everyone that the cups on the fantasy football are now starting in the leagues. Our cups now start on game week 31 for us, because we've got between 129 and 255 people. So our cups starts on the game week 31, and also the deadline for game week 27 is the 25th of February, 6:30 p.m. UK time. So if you're not in the UK, you might want to check your time difference. It will be slightly different.
Cool. And while you're there, are you able to just run through the socials for me real quickly, Lottie, please?
Yep. If you want to follow us on Facebook, just punch in the search bar Canon Chatter. It's the same with Instagram, Canon_Chatter, and also TikTok, which is at Canon_Chatter. Sorry, I can't read again.
No problem.
Or if you want to follow us on Twitter, it's at Canon Chatter. If you want to follow Stephen, who's below me, it's at SB Canon Chatter. Or if you want to follow G, who's right next to me, it's G Talks Arsenal. G Rant still has not made a return yet, which is pretty good for this far in the season. And I'm officially back on Twitter, and it's at Lottie_B, 2 T's, 2 I's, because somebody beat me to the normal spelling. My blog is almost up to date. I'm still working on Wolves and Brentford, But if you want to have a read of anything else, everything is up. I have got an interesting piece coming up as well, which is based around the club, but I'll wait. You have to wait and see what it is. But if you want to check out anything else, it's lottieafc.blogspot.co.uk. Lastly, make sure you like and subscribe and turn on the notifications button.
No problem. Thank you for doing
Sorry,
that.
That didn't make sense then. I had to read that twice.
We'll round up some of the comments and then we will literally call it a night. So we have here, Stu, that's the tweet. My fridge is better than Maguire and it's broken. Absolutely brilliant. Gary, great show, G, Lottie and Stephen. Thank you for tuning in, Gary, and thank you for that comment. Absolutely legend. Have a good night, chat room. We have here, as you know, guys, with my 3-0 side charity bet, decided that if an Arsenal player scores a hat-trick in a 3-0 win, treble odds for Northern Ireland Air Ambulance, hashtag UTA. Thank you so much.
Jamie's an absolute legend. So as you know, we have our charity bet that I put on every week. But Jamie does a £1 bet every week on Arsenal to win 3-0.
Phenomenal.
And it's any money he wins, he's given to us to go towards the charity. Jamie's an absolute legend. Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you so much, Jamie. It means a lot, definitely. Thank you. Stu here. Cheers all. Great show, folks. Night to Gary. Really, night, Gary, latest mate. Lots of good nights from Gary to some other people in the chat room. And the last comment here, Lottie, you still drunk from Saturday?
I wasn't drunk on Saturday. I had about a total of 4 drinks. What are you talking about, Stuart?
Cool.
You're the other one who was off your rocker, mate.
But yeah, that pretty much kind of rounds up the show. Any last thoughts, Stephen?
No. Looking forward to the game on Thursday night. I think we can get another win. I'm confident we'll get another win. We've got to make the most. I think, as I said the other night, we have a run of sort of 6 games at the minute. That, with the exception of the Liverpool game, which has been thrown into the middle, were very winnable games. And arguably, you know, we can get a result against Liverpool. There's no reason why we can't. I'm not saying necessarily we'll win the game, but we can certainly get a draw out of it. And we've got to make the most of this. While the other teams around us are all playing each other, and try to put a bit of, you know, a few points on the board, get a wee bit of an advantage over some of them. And other than that, yeah, looking forward to Lottie's show on Friday night, and I will see you all again on Tuesday for our first birthday.
Excellent. Last thoughts, Lottie, before we round up?
Thank you for tuning in, guys, and it's just nice to be back.
Definitely. And the last comment goes to Really Sakar. Thanks, folks. Love your shows. Come on, you Gunners. And you know what? On that note, love the show. Really enjoyed it. Tune in for Lottie's show on Friday. See us next Tuesday for the birthday show. And you know what? Let's get the result on Thursday night because it's definitely much needed. But until then, keep chatting.